So we left off last time with testimonials. And testimonials are mostly on business to business. You have people that are talking about the product, saying that it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, etc. The source could be either customers, they could be paid actors. Sometimes they have paid actors that are posing as customers, like posing as a police person or something like that. And that is what is known as testimonials. We see them all the time. Oftentimes it's medical, it's dental, it's police officers, it's fire and rescues talking about smoke alarms or something like that. Authoritative, you've got an expert authority. Not quite sure why they're using a Scotch brand with a person in a kilt. I understand that they wear kilts in Scotland, but what does that have to do with Scotch tape or with transparent tape? I don't know. But anyways, authoritative is much like testimonials. The difference between authoritative and testimonials is testimonials is supposed to be someone who has used the product. Authoritative is somebody who has either developed the product or is an expert in there. Again, oftentimes they use medical, scientific or survey evidence. Business to business ads is very important there. And it's very cognitive type of executional framework. Demonstration goes back to the rational approach from the appeals. It shows products being used. Oftentimes it's comparative. Used very well on television and internet. Also used a lot on those QVC type of commercials, those paid half-hour types of programming. You see demonstration used very, very effectively. These are all the boring commercials, so obviously I'm not going to show you any of those that are on YouTube. Fantasy is the final executional framework that we're going to talk about. Fantasy is just that. It's beyond reality. It puts people into a place where it's a dreamland. Oftentimes, fantasy is you've won something. I'm a millionaire now. I just won the lottery and I'm a millionaire. Or fantasy is if you put on these shoes, you'll be just like LeBron James. Or fantasy can be if you eat this chocolate, it takes you to a place far, far away. Oftentimes, they're fantasies about sex. You get a beautiful girl or handsome guy, romance. Oftentimes it's because you're a millionaire, you've won, those types of things. So I'm not going to show you the fantasy types of commercials here. We've all seen them. Put on these shoes, you're going to be just like LeBron James. Of course, you're not going to be unless you are one of the greatest athletes around. And then informative, used extensively in radio. Key is business to business. What they're doing is they're informing you of a product, informing you of a sale, informing you of something. They want you to be involved in it. So oftentimes it's sales or something like that. And if you guys are interested, here's one for informative executional framework. So now your sources. Sources of commercials can be either a typical person, an expert, a CEO, sometimes CEOs like Papa John's. Wasn't it Papa John's? Yeah, Papa John's use their CEO as a spokesperson. Celebrities are obviously very important and spokespeople. Sometimes celebrities aren't the spokesperson, but they are the central theme in the commercial. The #1 liked commercial last year in the Super Bowl was the Groundhog Day, and you had, of course, Bill Murray as a celebrity there. Again, Papa John's is a good example of celebrities, or excuse me, CEOs. And then, of course, you have experts, which is oftentimes medical, fire, or police personnel. And then you have your typical persons. Here's an example. Celebrities are the most common. It says they're featured in 6% of ads. It's way more than that now. Trying to create emotional bonds with the product. If you like the celebrity, hopefully that'll translate into the particular product. Dead celebrity endorsements are also very popular with Jerry Garcia, formerly known as formerly from the Grateful Dead, who is actually dead now. Another one is Bob Marley. Bob Marley is obviously has been gone for years and years and years, and there was a resurgence of Bob Marley for celebrity endorsements. Sometimes there's celebrity voiceovers. The big one on that one would be Morgan Freeman. And of course, dead person endorsements. We talked about that. Spokespersons. We talked about CEOs, which are highly visible and personable, like in Papa John's. A long time ago with Wendy's, the restaurant Wendy's, the fast food restaurant, Dave Thomas was the founder Dave Thomas was the founder of Wendy's, and he was the celebrity CEO. Again, we've talked about experts, typical people. You got to be careful about typical people. Subway is cringing now because of Jared, who turned out to be a real creep. So the last slide we're going to talk about is this. This is what we call the means end chain. This is the expanded means end chain. You have the message strategy. Is it cognitive, affective, conative? What is the appeal? Fear, humor, sex, music, rational, emotional scarcity. What is your leverage point? Are you going to use a spokesperson? And what is your executional framework? This particular model sums up the last 3 chapters, Chapter 5, Chapter 6, and Chapter 7. This model should be the model that you use to develop your creative strategies. So you would look at your creative strategy and say, okay, I want to have a cognitive or a thinking creative strategy, and I want to use a rational approach, but I'm also going to have music in there. So you would circle rational and music. The leverage point is going to be the text or the colors in my ad. I'm not going to use a spokesperson, and the executional framework will be testimonial. I want to see, now take note of this, folks, I want to see this in your presentation to your particular client. This will show your client that you put some thought into the executional strategy and into the creative strategy, and it kind of sums up the last 3. So please take a look at this means end chain and how you create an advertisement. Up there, so you can't see it, so let me move this. It talks about creating an advertisement. This is the executional framework I want, or the model I want you to use when you start to create your own advertisements. With that being said, that concludes Chapter 7, and I will see you when we come back for Chapter 8.